Welcome to my Vision News morning update for you on the ongoing war in Sudan. Firstly, 72-hour ceasefire has ended this morning in Sudan. It was a Friday morning, 6 a.m. local time, when the ceasefire was announced for 72 hours. So, the ceasefire has come to an end, and so far no announcement of extension by the parties to the conflict. Let's see, though there was no ceasefire practically on the ground, the two sides were fighting, there were airstrikes, there were clashes, though clashes remained limited because of evacuations. Secondly, Hemedti was interviewed by Sky News a few hours ago, and there he spoke about Sudanese military, about any likelihood of talks with Al Burhan. Hemedti said that he claimed that 90% of Sudanese military is out of action, out of service. He said Islamists, extremists are now fighting. No point in sitting with Al Burhan. Al Burhan has nothing in his hand, and only solution is to remove Al Burhan. He said that he was fighting for democracy. He claimed that he was trying to protect civilians, that RSF did not attack Muhandisin area because it has large number of residents of the area. Now, these are claims made by Hemedti. We cannot say the Sudanese military has collapsed. No signs on the ground. We have not seen large-scale deaths, defections of Sudanese army. Yes, Sudanese army's professionalism, its strength has been exposed. Why? Because RSF has been able to reach the airport, Khartoum International Airport, Sudanese Army headquarters. Sudanese Army's military industry is complex. It does not mean that the army has collapsed. No. Army is there, army is fighting, and army is supported by allied militias. But Hemedti is trying to give an impression that that Al Burhan is being controlled by mujahideens, by extremist Islamists, and that is why international community should stand with Hemedti. Thirdly, was evacuations continue. That is why we're seeing a little lull, not complete ceasefire in Khartoum. Several countries have issued statements confirming the evacuation of the diplomats from Sudan. US has evacuated all of its diplomatic staff from the Sudanese capital. RSF claims to have provided support to the US government for evacuation. US denies any support from RSF. Other countries, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, they have also done evacuation. Saudi Arabia too. Evacuations are continuing. And we mustn't forget, evacuations of diplomats are underway. Foreign nationals are still in Sudan in thousands, in tens of thousands. Americans alone in Sudan are more than 16,000, not evacuated so far. So they're on their own. They'll try to flee the country through different risky routes. And other foreign nationals are also in Sudan in tens of thousands. The governments are only evacuating their diplomats, families of diplomats. Basically, they're leaving their citizens behind. Citizens are on their own. They're definitely trying to flee the country. They're trying to move towards Port Sudan. But let's see. So far, due to evacuations, we saw decrease in the intensity of fighting. Evacuations are continuing, not completed. In the next coming days, we'll see completion. So far, it is happening. Swedish parliament just yesterday approved deployment of of Swedish military for evacuation of diplomatic staff from Khartoum. It means that evacuation of Swedish diplomats has not started. So it will take some time for evacuations of diplomats to be completed. That is why we could see resurgence of increased hostilities in coming days after evacuation is complete. RSF is confirming its commitment to the protection of diplomats. RSF is claiming that it escorted a convoy of Italian diplomats, French diplomats as well. Though the convoy of French diplomats came under attack, a strike was conducted, one was injured. But US is denying any support from RSF for the evacuation of its diplomats. Meanwhile, displacements continue as well, viewers. Most of the displaced people from Khartoum are heading towards Egypt. There is emergency situation on Egypt-Sudan border. Tens of thousands have managed to reach there. Long convoys of buses and vehicles are heading to Egypt. They are there. And on their way, people who are leaving Khartoum, they are being welcomed by others, residents of different villages through which these displaced people are passing. Locals are helping them with cold water, with juice, etc. Sudanese people don't deserve to see what is happening. They are wonderful people. They fought for democracy. Now they're leaving their homes. They have to leave their homes, everything behind, risking their lives, and now they are heading towards neighboring countries. Wonderful people and worthless leadership, military leadership especially. We are seeing calm in Western Sudan, where community elders, activists, religious elders, they have managed to make the two parties, RSF and Sudanese military, agree on ceasefire there. Community committees have been established with participation of local government officials, regional government officials, imams of mosques of areas, and activists, notables. The committees talked to both the parties, to Rapid Support Forces and Sudanese military, and after that ceasefire was agreed. So in the last 48 hours, there was no fighting in Al-Fashir, southern Darfur, in Niyala, Al-Fashir, northern Darfur, Niyala, southern Darfur, and in western Darfur as well. There is a relative calm there. Community committees have managed to make the parties agree. Both are there, by the way. Rapid Support Force fighters and Sudanese military, they are still there in Al-Fashir, Nayala. Basically, some parts of these cities are under the control of RSF and some are under the control of Sudanese military. But there is no fighting, at least. No permanent solution has been reached there. At least ceasefire is being implemented. There are no evacuations of diplomats from Darfur. Basically, it's an effort by community elders, community activists. No such success is being seen in Khartoum, Darman, Bahri. Here, I think the two sides, especially, both sides don't want to sit. In Darfur, the two sides wanted to stop the fire. They wanted to silence the guns for the time being. But in Khartoum, Bahri, Darman, We have not seen commitment to permanent ceasefire, commitment to holding a fire so far. Hemedti says no point in sitting with Al Burhan. Al Burhan says that Hemedti, all his fighters must leave. They must leave Khartoum, Bahri, Darman, and after that, there could be any likelihood of sitting with the other side, RSF. So, overall, this is the situation this morning. Evacuations continue, network, internet disruptions continue. 2% is internet access situation in Sudan. Sudanese exchange was attacked by some fighters in Khartoum. Military claims it was RSF. Other networks are down to, in terms of internet signals, local calls working in some cases. Thank you for watching.